What happens when two people from completely different generations find something real together? Could age really be just a number? When love shows up, it doesn't check the calendar. Maybe it's even better when time separates you because the connection has to be authentic, genuine, and true. These are the top 10 movies where the biggest gaps create the deepest connections. Love stories that prove years apart doesn't mean worlds apart. Relationships that defy what everyone expects and find something extraordinary in the space between. Let's dive in. Number 10. Secondhand Lions, 2003. Directed by Tim McCanlies. A young boy named Walter arrives at his uncle's home for the summer expecting a really boring visit. On his uncle's Hub and Garth are incredibly eccentric old men who live in complete isolation on a sprawling Texas ranch filled with mystery and history. As Walter spends time with them, he discovers their incredible past filled with adventure, danger, and a legendary lost love. The uncles decide to teach Walter that life is worth living boldly and that real love never dies no matter how much time passes. They tell him stories of war and escape, of courage in the face of impossible odds. They show him through their bond that some connections transcend everything the world throws at them. What begins as a story of two old men becomes a powerful lesson about cherishing love across the years. Through their mentorship, Walter learns that age is just a backdrop for real human connection. The decades between generations melt away when passion is genuine. The bond between these brothers runs deeper than decades, deeper than loss, deeper than the world's judgment. Walter realizes that what they share is worth more than all the years they spent apart. Number 9. The Age of Adaline, 2015. Directed by Lee Toland Krieger. Adeline stops aging after a miraculous accident in the 1930s. Living eternally young, she spends decades moving from place to place, changing identities constantly. Everyone she loves gets older while she stays the same. It's a beautiful curse, a prison made of youth and isolation. Everything changes when she meets Ellis, a kind and genuine man who falls deeply in love with her. Ellis is much younger in spirit, though older in actual years, and he sees past her secrets, past her walls, past the fear she's built. As their relationship deepens, Adeline faces a terrible dilemma. She cannot tell him the truth without losing everything. She's been hiding her real self for so long. Their romance explores how love transcends time and how the most profound connections happen when we're brave enough to be completely vulnerable. Ellis pursues her relentlessly, showing that age gaps dissolve when two souls truly match. He doesn't see the years, he sees the woman inside. Number 8. Love, Rosie, 2014, directed by Christian Ditter. Rosie and Alex have been best friends since childhood in small-town Ireland. They make a pact together to lose their virginity if neither finds love by 30. It's a promise between friends, a safety net of sorts. When circumstances force Alex away, their friendship becomes strained, almost broken. Years pass and they live separate lives, each unaware of the other's true feelings. A significant age difference seems to create distance, but their lifelong bond remains. They've known each other for their entire lives. When they finally reunite as adults, the attraction is undeniable and raw. Everything changes in a moment. The film explores how sometimes the deepest love comes from the oldest connections. Their journey proves that age gaps mean nothing when you've loved someone your entire life. They grew up together, changed together, and became themselves together. That foundation matters more than any number of years. Number 7. The Reader, 2008. Directed by Stephen Daldry. When a young student named Michael collapses on the street, an older woman named Hannah helps him. After his recovery, Michael begins visiting her regularly and reads to her for hours at a time. Hannah becomes his first great love, his awakening to desire and connection. She's mysterious, complicated, and infinitely more experienced than he is. Their affair is passionate and all-consuming, a secret world they share in her apartment. But one day, Hannah disappears without a trace, leaving Michael devastated and confused. Years later, Michael encounters Hannah again in a completely different context, as a defendant in a courtroom. The revelation of her past shakes everything he thought he knew about her. The film explores how love and understanding can be complicated by truth and history. The age gap between them becomes less important than the emotional chasm that opens when secrets are revealed. Michael learns that sometimes we love people without truly knowing who they are, and sometimes that knowledge comes too late to change anything. Number 6. Late Autumn, 2010. Directed by Kim Tae-yong. An older woman named Ok Soon lives quietly in Seoul, raising her daughter alone. She spent her whole life taking care of others, putting herself last. Her life changes when she meets a much younger man named Ji-woo, who moves into her neighborhood. Ji-woo is drawn to her wisdom, her quiet strength, and her authentic kindness. The way she moves through the world with grace and composure speaks to something in him. Though her daughter opposes the relationship fiercely, Ok soon begins to see a new chapter of life opening. Maybe it's not too late to choose herself. Their connection is tender, almost fragile, but undeniably real. And they fall slowly, carefully, like people who understand how precious this is. What makes their bond special is that age disappears when vulnerability takes over, when two people truly see each other. They prove that companionship has no expiration date. Number 5. Never Let Me Go, 2010. Directed by Mark Romanek. Two young lovers named Kathy and Tommy navigate a complex world where age gaps matter less than their shared mortality. They're caught in a system beyond their control, facing an uncertain future. Their romance unfolds against a backdrop of isolation and the specter of separation. They know their time is limited, but they refuse to let that define what they are. As they struggle against fate, their love deepens beyond measure. Every moment becomes precious, every touch becomes sacred. The film asks difficult questions about time and connection and whether love can transcend even the impossible. Can love survive when everything else fails? Their bond shows that relationships aren't defined by the years between two people, but by the moments they share. By the choices made, by the hands held, by the words spoken in quiet desperation. Number 4. Crazy Heart, 2009. Directed by Scott Cooper. Bad Blake is an aging country singer struggling with alcoholism and a fading away career. He's lived hard, loved recklessly, and destroyed most good things. When he meets a young journalist named Jean, she sees past his rough exterior to the man beneath. Jean is decades younger, yet she recognizes something in him worth saving, worth fighting for. There's a decency in him, buried under all of the damage. Their relationship isn't easy. Bad Blake's demons test them constantly, but Jean refuses to give up. She stands beside him even when it's hard. He learns through her that it's never too late to become someone better, to love someone real, to start your life again. She becomes his reason to finally change. The age gap becomes irrelevant when love is strong enough to demand change. She doesn't see his age. She sees his potential, his possibility, his chance at redemption. Number 3. Testament of Youth, 2014. Directed by James Kent. Vera is a young woman growing up on the eve of World War I. She falls deeply in love with Roland, an older, more experienced man. He's worldly, wounded, and beautiful in a broken way. Their romance is passionate, full of stolen moments and unspoken promises. They exist in a bubble outside of time, outside of consequence. When war separates them, Vera's world fractures completely. She thought they had forever, but forever was taken away. The film explores how love can bridge any gap, even time itself. The most meaningful connection can happen between two people at different stages of life. Vera learns that some connections transcend age categories. Some souls simply recognize their matching halves. Their story reminds us that true love defies all conventional logic. It breaks the rules. It ignores the calendar. It simply exists, pure and true. Number 2. Words, 2012. Directed by Lee Ki-yuk. Min-jun is a famous author living a solitary existence defined by his own pain. He writes brilliant stories but lives a hollow life. When he encounters So-yeon, a much younger aspiring writer, something shifts inside him. So-yeon is drawn to his stories, his wisdom, Ayeon, and his depth. She sees the artist, not the age. Though their age difference seems substantial, their artistic souls align. They speak the language of creation, of truth, of beauty. They begin a secret relationship exploring whether artists from different generations can create something beautiful, something meaningful together. She inspires him to write again, to feel again, to live again. Their connection proves that shared passion matters infinitely more than shared birth years. Sometimes two people are separated by time, but brought together by something deeper. Number 1. The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, 2011. Directed by John Madden. A group of retirees journey to India seeking adventure and renewal. Among them is Muriel, a proud British woman in her 70s. She's proper, traditional, and set in her ways. When she arrives in Jaipur, she meets Bunny, the hotel's manager, a much younger Indian man. Though he could be her son, Muriel finds herself drawn to his kindness, his genuine care, and his infectious warmth. He looks at her and sees a woman, not an old lady. What begins as friendly connection evolves into something deeper. Muriel has spent decades behind walls of propriety, afraid to live boldly, afraid to take risks, afraid that her time for adventure had passed. Bunny shows her that love has no age limit, that life's greatest adventures come when we stop playing it safe. He gives her permission to be herself, to want things, to reach for happiness. Their relationship becomes a love letter to second chances, to unexpected joy, to the idea that at any age you can choose to truly live. It's never too late to start over, to love again. To be loved. So which of these films spoke to your heart? Did one couple's story resonate with you? Was there a moment that made you believe age really doesn't matter? Tell me in the comments which movie or relationship felt the most genuine to you. Which one surprised you? And if you want more lists exploring love in all its forms, follow for more. Because the best stories are always about connection, never about the years between two beating hearts. See you in the next one.